I'm Brandon Amoroso, and this is the D2Z podcast, building and growing your business from a Gen Z perspective. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to D2Z, a podcast about using the Gen Z mindset to grow your business. I'm Brandon Amoroso, founder and president of Retention as a Service agency, Electric. And today, I'm talking with Wyatt Shane, partner manager at Recharge, who also happens to be Electric's partner manager. So thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Brandon. Really excited to be here. I know it's been a long time coming to get this scheduled. We kept having a bunch of back and forth, so I'm glad we're finally able to make it happen. And not only Electric's partner manager, but Electric being Recharge's partner of the year. So I get to manage, the stars.
The best of the best.
That's the best, exactly.
Yes, there's a lot of anticipation for this one. I think this is probably our fifth attempt at this, but it's fifth time's the charm. But before we jump into some of the things we want to chat about here, can you give just everybody listening a quick background sort of on yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been in like the SaaS space for the better part of like almost 8 years at this point. Kind of across a variety of industries. I actually started in like educational technology, kind of coming up through the sales route there, doing like the online learning, corporate, LMS and whatnot. So did that and kind of got into the marketing side, marketing technology at the time was a Klaviyo competitor and isn't really on the scene too much anymore. But yeah, pivoted that into some time at another marketing technology company, and then was lucky enough to kind of get back into the e-commerce side here with Recharge, and been here for just over a year and a half now, and I've seen just tons of change and kind of our company and the platform, how we're approaching things, and really just like the market in general. But kind of been doing the partnership thing for of that time in SaaS. Been doing partnerships for 3 to 4 years at this point. Working with, some of the best e-commerce partners there are.
Awesome. So what are some of the things that you're up to right now with Recharge?
Yeah. So right now it feels like there's always like 700 things that we're working on. But for me, like the big things that I'm focused on, right now with kind of the partners and with you guys it's kind of threefold is how I'm thinking about it. And so really like just continuously formulating strategic plans, with top partners like Electric to really just figure out how we can go kind of find and win new business together. So like joint acquisition, co-selling, kind of finding those targeted prospects for both of us and putting plans in place to basically go like get in front of those brands with that joint service offering. So that's really big. We have tons of new kind of features and releases and just like a new direction of Recharge happening as well. So really working on how to best disseminate all of that information, all that new functionality, and ensuring that, you and the other partners we work with are kind of like aware and trained on that. So we can kind of start getting feedback from yourself and from joint clients around it. And then just kind of consistently working on the wine go-to-market, which I know you and I have talked about in depth, and kind of expanding that also more into just the alcohol industry in general, and really working on kind of modernizing the tech stack and kind of the approach to that whole industry. So that's an ongoing focus that I work on.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see all of the sort of product updates that are coming out, a lot of them are very sort of logical in terms of we're maybe using like a very specific like app to address like a feature, but it really shouldn't be an app. It's just a feature within a larger product suite. And so I'm excited to see some of those get baked into the solution. But how important are agencies in the ability to test these new products into like clients in early access versus like Recharge having to go one-to-one to the merchant? What's like the mix there, and how does that sort of help or support the ability to roll out new products to the market?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, agencies are crucial and imperative to us being able to do that, as are our merchants directly. But I think what we've really put in place kind of around this like pace of innovation that we have and the importance of getting like these early access programs and alpha and beta products into the hands of our partners and our merchants is the ability to basically like get it out quickly, start learning and iterating on that, start receiving feedback from yourself and from our partners or and our merchants just around like what we have. So I'm reading this book currently, actually. It's called The Lean Startup. And it basically just talks about kind of like the principles around building a new product or a new service and like bringing it to market and how you can go about doing that. And I think something, first of all, that like really resonated with that in me is that a startup is just any group of people building a new product or service in conditions of uncertainty, which right now, I think we can certainly say the environment is like that, right? And so, Recharge being a company that's about like 8, 9 years old, it's easy to think of us not as a startup, but really the approach we're taking with these new releases is in that mold. And the only way that you win and figure out what works is to like learn the fastest around it. So the book kind of talks about like systematically testing and validating these learnings, and then kind of coming back and continually iterating on that. And agencies are obviously like crucial to doing that. My boss, Kevin Klein, who you've had on the show before, I think he probably even said this on the show. He's starting to wear off on me, but like the agencies are really like the laboratories of innovation, and of testing and of being able to really provide us that feedback, because you guys are on the front lines and you're seeing it across like the aggregate, right? It's not just one single client. It's like we roll out memberships or we roll out flows and we get it in your hands and you can test it across like different clients in different industries and really see what works for those specific like use cases and like the nuances there. And then, through those clients, through yourself, you're able to provide us like invaluable feedback on what you're actually using, maybe what a hypothesis of what we've built that we're testing maybe isn't as relevant as we thought. And then we can essentially like eliminate that waste of kind of product development time if it's not being adopted or it's not being used or it's not useful for like you and your clients. So yeah, very long answer, but really, really like agencies are crucial and we couldn't do what we do without you guys basically.
I feel like it's a good funnel of feedback, just because you can, as opposed to having to go talk to like 40 merchants directly, you can just talk to an agency who has the 40 merchants, and then you're able to iterate more quickly, and then also understand if a proposed product or solution is going to have sort of a wide use case, or if it's just one merchant who really needs this, which is not a reason to go and build a new product feature or to add on a new complementary product.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like what we are seeing, and really kind of the theme coming out of Charge X, which is our big annual user conference at the end of April, which I know you attended, and the team, is that there is kind of this shift in commerce happening, and it's been talked about really at length this year. Like commoditization or consolidation is a huge point. All these stores, right, and brands have, I think the average is like 18 or 25 like apps that they're using, and the people want more consolidation, right? And we don't need to belabor that point. It's been discussed at length, I think. But what we're seeing like coming out of that is over the past, year, 18 months, like we have consistently like listened to our customers, listened to our partners, and solicited a lot of this feedback. And it's allowed us to basically build what we are now testing in this hypothesis around what we think will resonate in the market. And the new like kind of future direction of Recharge is, subscriptions is very much at the core, but this platform of being really like a retention optimization tool. So like brands spend a ton of money right now to acquire customers. It's higher than ever. We all know that. We want to help those brands maximize the value and the LTV of those customers that they spent a lot of their money to acquire and bring into the fold. So, the tools around it are things that we've heard our merchants directly tell us that they want, and now we've kind of built some of those products. And now we're going to continuously test and innovate on them. Memberships, flows, rewards, bundles, and the subscription core as well to bring that to market. Because building one-off features is like you're never going to scale that way. Even if your biggest merchant wants something, right? It's like it has to make sense for kind of the wider ecosystem and the wider goal that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, it's definitely a fine line balancing that in terms of taking the product where you think it should be headed, as as well as addressing all the merchant feedback that you get. And I'm sure it only gets worse and worse the larger you get, because then you just get more and more merchants, and it's like, how do you actually sift through all of that?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like I think it does, but we've done something really cool lately when it comes to like soliciting this feedback. So we actually like just like this week, I think we just rolled out a brand new like merchant feedback tool where people can actually just like directly kind of provide feedback and like feature requests on anything, and that goes directly to our product team. But what we've rolled out over the past couple months too, to help kind of drive adoption of all these new things and really just bring transparency to what we're building and how we're thinking about things, what we're working on, is a public facing product roadmap. And as far as I know, like very few tech companies actually provide this. A lot of times, like people are nervous to kind of like put a deadline on things or bring forward what they're working on. But
Yeah.
yeah, we've made it totally public. So you can just go to it. It's just rechargepayments.com or rechargepayments.roadmap.com. I'll have to double check it. What
We'll,
exactly
we'll,
the
we'll
URL
put it
is.
in the show notes. But yeah, I think
Perfect.
you also have to be at a certain size and scale where you can do that. Like, and also a maturity of product. Like, for example, on the like on the drinks app side of things, there's so many other things that we need to be doing and focused on. Like, I've seen yours and I'm like, this is awesome. But it's like, there's obviously time and investment going into putting that up. And so it's really cool that you guys are at a place where you can do something like that. Whereas if the decision is between, do we keep building more product or do we spend some time on making it external facing? It's like, we're just going to spend the money and time on building more product when it's so obvious, like what the things are that we need. But it is fascinating because obviously you have like, there's competitors in the space as well, but they get to see the roadmap too. So it's like, how do you balance that? But I think at this point in ecom, like nobody's really coming out with anything that's like not already known. If that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like it's not like we're I'm trying to think of like a good example, but um there's no secrets. Like it's pretty logical what would be coming next in terms of like subscription, retention, things like that. So there's just, how do you go about executing, I think is really important at this stage. Um,
Yeah, totally. I think one of the cool I yeah, it's a good point. I think one of the cooler just like general e-com innovations I've seen lately is some of this like live like video shopping, right? Where it's like, hey,
yeah.
in a store, like someone is maybe like presenting, products with like a model or whatever, and you're actually like kind of doing the product overview, the walkthrough, and like directly from that, like being able to go to the PDP and buy immediately. So I think like that seems like kind of newer and cooler one, but yeah, to your point, like in our space specifically, like we're pretty much of the belief at Recharge that like the subscription space is fairly commoditized, right? Like you can only customize and take a subscribe and save widget so far. You can only kind of take a customer portal to a certain extent. At the end of the day, us, our competitors, like they all achieve the same core functionality. So
Mhm.
what's really exciting for us right now is like thinking about like going beyond that and through kind of our unified suite of products around like memberships, bundles, subscription, and rewards is the automations behind that are going to power this like new customer experience that customers are demanding and that brands now have to provide just because of this fundamental shift in commerce that we've seen over the past like 12 months or so, really. So I think now it's very much it's not so much like, hey, who does subscription the best? It's, hey, who does like this whole recurring revenue and retention program the best? And like if someone is buying a one-time product, how can we automate testing strategies and A/B testing around upsells, right? Or to get them into a subscription. Or if someone has purchased a subscription, how do we ensure that they retain that subscription beyond 4 or 5 months, right? Is it by offering an incentive on store credit? Is it by offering a free gift after X number of purchase, right? How do we upsell them into a bundle to increase that average order value while also maintaining that subscription? Do memberships in conjunction with these items, like, is that valuable? Like, is there something in having a membership program that is going to continuously boost that loyalty and boost that lifetime value of these customers. So all of that, I think, is like, that's really exciting for us, and like we're open about it, right? Like, that's the direction we're going, and I think like the space, there's so much opportunity still in the recurring revenue space.
Yeah.
Like a rising, it's the classic adage of a rising tide lifts all ships, right? And I think that like we're learning a lot from our competitors. I think we're doing some things better and more uniquely than some of them too. And it's an exciting time to kind of see like what this whole next phase of this will unfold to look like.
Yeah, I think there's some cool use cases for platforms that are more mature at this point, like looking at some of the new, I'd almost call them features, or like uh, smaller Shopify apps that have been popping up over the last like year. Like, for example, I was thinking through, oh, like the recharge cancellation flows that are coming are really unique, but at the same time, there's this solution called Windsor that we use that allows us to do like the personalized videos and the Klaviyo flows. So it's like, it'd be really cool actually if when you're trying to cancel, you get a video of the founder in that flow being like, "Hey Brandon, don't cancel," and you have like 40 different videos depending on what the cancellation reason is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that would be cool to like really test to see if it actually does improve retention. But I can almost guarantee you it would improve retention. So it's like, how do you get some of those like quick wins by looking at really unique integrations that other companies won't be able to prioritize? I think I've started to think about that more, and then try and like connect the dots between some of our partners. And then once it's up and running, then like we get to leverage it and use it to produce the results for our clients first before it becomes more like mainstream.
Totally. And then that's a unique, and that's like a unique value prop for you too. And that's basically like
Yeah.
a service that you have productized that you can then, take to market. And that's unique to Electric, which only serves to then benefit you guys. And that's part of that, like, goes back to it goes back to kind of the comment about like, agencies being these laboratories of innovation. Like, that is the way that we want our partners thinking about how to leverage like our platform in conjunction with kind of these other really specific tools that are out there. And I don't know the best way to achieve it, but open API with Recharge. So it's like, you can kind of figure out how to connect those dots and how to integrate that into those flows. So yeah.
Yeah. So coming off of the heels of ChargeX, what's sort of the like general feedback or sort of trends that you see coming out of that, outside of like Recharge obviously becoming more of a like retention commerce platform? What are some of the other things that you took away from that?
Yeah. I'm going to answer your question, but because you were there, I'm going to first turn it around on you and ask you what your feedback was and what your experience at ChargeX was like.
So for me, I think uh, it was really cool to get to go somewhere new like DC. That's not like a standard spot for conferences. I feel like everything's in LA or New York, so it was nice to get to mix things up a little bit. And then also it brought a different audience and crowd that maybe wouldn't have come to the one like in Santa Monica the year prior. And then for me, it was interesting to get to do the talk that was more targeted to agencies and tech partners than it was to merchants, and giving sort of a behind the scenes around how we think about technology partnerships and just the ecosystem as a whole, um, which is something that we started to do more and more, like working with our tech partners and other agencies, being like, this is how you can run and spin up like a successful partner program. Not that we've done one ourselves, but like we're in a fair amount of tech partner programs. So it's like, what are the things that are valuable, how you can think about like scaling your business through partnerships. So that was pretty unique and interesting. The other thing was everybody is like is product bundling. So whether it's Recharge or other solutions, um, you can, without a doubt, almost guarantee that they are working on like adding complementary products to their suite. And for me, it looks, there's like companies that are in a much stronger position to do so than others, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next year or two. And I think a lot of it has to do with the starting point. So the companies who are really like crucial and integral to a business, whether it's Klaviyo powering all of your customer communications or Recharge powering all of your subscription commerce, that's a better starting point than if you are more of like a feature app than you are like a true like product per se. And so it's not like example would be if you're a reviews product, you're not going to go spin up a subscription app. Like that just, I mean, I guess maybe you could, but that's just not a logical next step. And so it'll be interesting to see how the consolidation happens over the next couple of years here.
Yeah, totally. I think you nailed it with that theme. And that's a direct response to kind of going back to like that feedback and listening to our customers. Like that's what we've heard. Like people are sick of logging into Shopify and going to their app section and seeing like 40 plus apps and paying for all these, and half of the time not even knowing what half of them do, right? Because it's like they install, like a merchant installed something at one point in time to solve like one very specific problem, and then it's just kind of been left in there. Like I'm sure on the agency side, you and your team see all the time, like when you bring on new clients, like and you kind of do the audit or go and look and just see how messy things can be. So yeah, I think that's a big one. I think you're right where there's certain platforms that are and just kind of like areas that are positioned well. Like I just watched the episode you did with our friend Adina from Makendo, and like I think they're thinking about things really really well, and like how they're complementing their service offering just around like surveys and reviews and the referral thing. Like that all makes sense. Klaviyo, right, kind of being this hub of really being kind of your e-commerce CRM and having like all of your customer communication. Us obviously focus exclusively on recurring revenue in a variety of ways. So yeah, I think that was big. I think also coming out of ChargeX, like the feedback was just generally really positive. I think people really appreciated just kind of the messaging and kind of the story that we were telling around it. I think a big theme is people love connecting with the product facing people at any tech company. We had all of our key kind of product leaders and technical support people available, like across our kind of key our like core platform features, so like subscriptions, memberships, etc. And so merchants and partners could just walk up to them and have a conversation about either something that maybe was a challenge or wasn't working, or literally like solving an open support ticket right then and there in real life with someone, or just like kind of getting the future like vision that we have and kind of where we're going, and just chatting through that, and then just all of that feedback. So it's unique. I think it's something we do really well as a company. Like our CEO Shane every Friday just blocks out his calendar and just takes customer calls like all day long. So that's really cool. I think like we're just really, I'm proud of how we solicit feedback, and I think that really resonated out of ChargeX, was people wanting to be able to share that and have that access. But yeah, overall, like I would say the event was successful. Most of the partners I've talked to, a few merchants that I've spoken to at events since then, who are also there, have just said, yeah, it was really, really positive, and they were just excited by the future of where things are headed.
Yeah, I think the other thing that was interesting to me was how agencies and tech partners are looking at verticals, like new verticals, like alcohol. There's some other ones as well that have been a little bit more antiquated historically in terms of technology adoption. And like all the low hanging fruit for Shopify, I feel like is already on the platform, like shoes, skincare, coffee, whatever. And so agencies and tech partners alike are looking at new verticals and how they can support Shopify and going after them. So I think it's only a matter of time. It's just like, how can we accelerate it? There's no reason why any industry should be using a point commerce solution. Like it literally does not make any sense in any way whatsoever. So it's like, how do we build into the platforms that are going to be the future versus how do we build like point solutions for specific industries? And I think it's been really cool to see all the agency and tech partner support, not only on alcohol, but like a couple of weeks ago we were like digging into the jewelry industry, and there's like so many antiquated things that are done there, and a lot of the migrations now that we're doing for Shopify Plus are very fascinating businesses. Like we did like a fertilizer company out of Nebraska that does like $15 million a year on WooCommerce with 2 people. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So there's like some really cool and interesting ones that are coming up.
Yeah, it's I think it's just, and I think that's a trend, right? Is that people see that Shopify, I mean, we've all known about Shopify for a long time, but we also forget 10 years ago, Shopify was a company with 100 people, right? And it was like, who are these guys out of Toronto, or not even Toronto, like somewhere in Ontario? Like, what are they doing? And I think now it's like they've really demonstrated that, you know, they are kind of like the leader in this space, and a lot of it is the ecosystem and the connectivity that you get within there, right? It's like the Magento ecosystem, the WooCommerce ecosystem, the Drupal ecosystem, if there is such a thing. Like there's just so much, like there's just such fewer like opportunities to like build this really comprehensive like customer experience through those tools. And for some, large enterprise customers and platforms, like it'll make sense to have that just for a variety of reasons. But yeah, no, I think I think like that is super interesting. And I think it's just a way to like help all these other businesses like modernize what they're doing. Cause to your point, like, and I'll use like alcohol and wine specifically as an example. You and I have had discussions of this at length, but like those industries for the longest time, we're kind of told that they were really special and needed all this, unique tech and really point specific solutions. And I think the story that, we're trying to tell now and starting to get some traction with is like, quite frankly, you don't. It's like the leading commerce brands in the world selling online are using really kind of the same combination of like 6 to 10 platforms probably and pieces of technology. And you can too, and you can have a lot of success doing that. And so it's been fun. It's been different and interesting to kind of like just dive into that and uncover some of the more like specific problems. And challenges that they're having, but then showing and being able to kind of solution like, hey, here's actually how you can take what you're doing, how that maybe actually isn't as much as a problem as you maybe think it is because of some preconceived notions or just your previous experience. And here's how we can actually like take that and make it better and really build out this comprehensive like customer experience that is really going to help elevate your business. So and you guys are crucial to that too, and I know that that's what you sing it from the rooftop. So
we try to.
yeah.
I think it is cool to see a lot of platforms put their sort of brain power and development behind how to help brands improve retention, and even things like Gorgeous, for example, focusing on turning customer service into like a revenue driving channel and improving retention versus 5-10 years ago is like, oh, customer service is a cost center for us. Like, no, actually it's not. And so part of it is product development. And then the other part of it is just education and like showing the proof points, getting things like allowing customers to skip a subscription order or like easily manage their subscription. It's like that still is not the norm for a lot of the businesses that I talk to in the alcohol industry, as an example. Like somebody I was speaking with, you have to call in to cancel your club program. Like I would hate you if I was your customer. But the fear is like, oh, well, if we allow easy management, then we're going to lose all of our customers and all of our money. It's like, no, actually, if you look at the data, if they skip an order, they stay longer. The lifetime value is higher. So not only is it product development, but it also requires like proving out the proof points and then educating the merchants as well.
Totally. Yeah. The education piece is huge. And when merchants, if you get into these conversations too, and they go to your website or to a specific landing page, like what's on there needs to speak to them too. They need to be like, oh, this looks like me. They're talking to me. Like I like this, I get this. Right. And so I think that's huge, but yeah, to your point on like the flexibility, right? It's like we say that subscription flexibility equals customer stability because we have the data that shows that. Like through Recharge SMS specifically, if you use that to like manage your subscriptions, skipping, swapping, pushing that next shipment or bill date out, adding one-time products, whatever it is, like that boosts LTV by upwards of 30%, which is like pretty huge lift. But like, yeah, if you make it easy for people to like, manage and honestly cancel, like they're not going to get frustrated. And if you provide incentives to prevent a cancellation, like, hey, oh, you have a lot of product, like, cool. Maybe we just pause our subscription for a couple months until you need more. Or, hey, this is like, this is too expensive. I can't do this. Cool. Well, let's offer a store credit, or let's offer a kind of pricing incentive to help retain that person. And that just increases that like retention over time. So, yeah.
So one other thing that I wanted to chat about here is memberships versus loyalty, because I feel like there's a lot of overlap and even memberships and subscriptions too, because if you look at most of the brands that we work with in the alcohol space, you become a subscriber and now you're automatically a part of some membership program. Um, so like, are they all sort of one and the same? The memberships, loyalty, subscriptions, and how is Recharge sort of thinking about them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think so. I'll start with like the membership versus loyalty piece. So, like at its core, a membership program is in a way like a form of loyalty, right? Like a loyalty program exists to help a brand earn market share and to help a
Mhm.
brand retain customers and have them keep coming back and purchasing with you over time, right? And I think within like the broad strokes of loyalty, there's different ways to approach it. So, like paid memberships, which is where we are leaning into, is one of those methodologies and one of those ways that you can do that. So, I think like when you break down the difference between maybe like a traditional loyalty program and like a membership program, specifically paid, there are some like standard like there are some like pretty clear differences. I think the biggest ones are going to be that a loyalty program is typically free. So you're not like buying into anything and like you are earning points or dollars or whatever it might be. Usually it's some
Yeah.
arbitrary system that is hard to quantify by taking specific actions. Could be like liking a social media post, sharing with three friends, making purchases, etc. Membership programs, you are going to pay into them and receive immediate benefits in exchange for that. So like Amazon Prime is what we reference internally all the time around this. Everyone knows what it is. You pay your $15 a month, you get special offers, you get the free shipping, etc. Right, and so I think that's like going to be one of the main ones. I think a couple of the others are like a membership program is going to directly generate revenue because customers are paying, whereas loyalty programs kind of indirectly generate revenue because people are still going back and making purchases, but you're not generating revenue from that membership program specifically. And then with a paid membership program, those rewards and benefits are typically going to be more premium than those offered just from kind of your standard loyalty program. So I think that's one way. And then like where we think about subscriptions and memberships and how they work together, it's really like I think offering a membership program alongside subscriptions, really brings just additional value to those recurring purchases. So brands like skincare brands or household supplies, right, that need to be replenished regularly or something like that. Those types of industries, if you combine them with a membership program that gives even more value to those purchases, like that is going to reward and help to benefit those most loyal customers. And that can include,
Yeah.
again, things like free shipping. It could be, maybe you get a special gift in every order, access to exclusive content, early access to specific or limited like product drops or releases. And by combining them, you can also get just deeper insights on your most loyal customers, right, across kind of these different sources of recurring revenue. Because you can really see like, hey, these are what our most loyal customers are doing. They're like, these are the hero customers, the hero products that they're purchasing. And then that can help inform kind of business insights.
Yeah, and what I thought was really neat is all of the A/B testing functionality that's being built into all of the product releases that are coming with Recharge, which will allow us to not only uh, roll out some of these like, oh, you get a free gift in your second order. How much does that improve retention? But like, what free gift makes the retention numbers better? Is it,
Mm-hmm.
oh, is it a makeup brush? Is it eyeliner? If you're a skincare brand, like, what is the lever to pull? And then also based off of who that customer is and what they're subscribed to, what sort of path should we bring them down? And so being able to do all of that is going to be really, really powerful. And then for us, it also allows us to get our merchants to adopt it more easily so that you're not disrupting the norm. Like you can prove out, oh, look, here's the A/B test. It worked. So now let's throw it out. But some merchants are more hesitant to like if it's not broken, what's the term? If it's not broken, don't fix it. Whatever
Yeah,
it is.
it ain't broke, don't
Um,
fix it.
there we go. So that is that's one of the most exciting things that I'm looking forward to is the ability to test into these things because like at face value, like yeah, of course, like adding a free gift should improve your second order retention, but it's like let's prove it out. How does it look at a on a vertical standpoint? So one of the cool things that I liked about the Recharge subscription commerce report is the ability to look at vertical specific metrics because otherwise you could potentially take away like false assumptions if you are a skincare brand, but you're looking at how coffee brands operate in terms of retention, and it's just not the same. And so that's super valuable. And I think as a product that has scale with a lot of merchants, there's certain, like, let's say there literally was another Recharge, like one for one, but they only had 10 customers, but Recharge has tens of thousands or whatever it is. Like, there's so many things that you can do that they will never be able to do. This is the same thing that I look at with like a Rebuy or a Klaviyo, like the insights that you're able to extract from having that amount of merchants. And then if you look at Shopify with things like Shop Pay and the Shop ecosystem, that could never be replicated because the network effects are so powerful that the value of the product is almost inherently because of how many people are using it. Like if they weren't using it, then it wouldn't be valuable. So as a competitor or somebody trying to enter into the market, like you have to go up against that, which is not a position that I would be envious of. But I think that's why we really enjoy going super deep with like fewer tech partners, because then we get the same sort of at a smaller scale of insights and like, hey, we've got these 40 clients on your tool. Like, how do we better leverage it across all of them versus just one with a bunch of different point solutions?
Yeah, totally. And I think on that point too, it's like, yes, the subscription pit space is becoming a little more crowded, and like we're seeing that. And yeah, I think it's a challenge for some of these brands entering to broach just like the scale and stability and those insights that we have. But they're also helping us become a better company and become a better platform. Like there's some competitive tools out there, like doing some cool stuff, and we're like, oh, that's interesting. Like and like our customers are telling about it. They're like, hey, these guys have this. Like you guys should really kind of look into that, or like, what are you doing to approach that? And then that kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the start, right? About like, hey, let's test it. Let's kind of like build some of this and then like learn and see if that's actually something that someone needs and wants, or is that just kind of one of those like more one-off type things. But yeah, we're very lucky to have the kind of market penetration and the amount of customers and then the number of subscribers of all of those customers, so we can glean the data, so we can put together things like the subscription commerce report and just kind of help our merchants know what they should be thinking about and what you guys should be thinking about, and how we can kind of help put those strategies in place. So
I
yeah,
think
it's all
competition is definitely healthy.
totally.
And it allows you to, but like both can, like both sides of the coin benefit. Because if you just operate in a vacuum, you don't have anybody else sort of pushing the needle forward, then you're going to stagnate as well. So one of the things that concerns me a little bit about Klaviyo is that there's really not a competitor in the Shopify ecosystem. I mean, if you look at like the penetration that they have, it's like 70%.
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
it'll be interesting to see how things evolve over the next like 2 to 3 years, especially as they go public. Um,
Mhm.
I I think they're probably, of all the Shopify apps, I don't think anybody else has gone public. Um, not that I know of off the top of my head. I mean, there's some that were like thinking about it, and then everything like went to shit, and so then they didn't. But um, I think they'll be the first that sort of truly came out of the Shopify
Mhm.
app ecosystem, and
Yeah.
then also successfully, or I guess to be determined, branched out of it. I think that's an interesting conundrum a lot of platforms are going to face over the next couple of years. It's like, where do we go outside of Shopify, or do we go outside of Shopify? Do we just stay here and ride their growth even as they start to slow growth a little bit? The same conversation I was having with Gorgeous in the last podcast is like, there's a reason why Zendesk is customer service for everybody. It's like their market is way bigger. The TAM is way more sizable than like just being ecom specific.
Mhm.
Because there's industries I don't even know exist that I learn about every week. Whether it's like some like very niche like IT thing, all the way to just like there's so many small businesses to large businesses out there who do things that I don't even know. So that is going to be fascinating. And some of the apps I've already spoken to are one of the survey ones was like, yeah, Shopify is where we started, but we're working with a bunch of like SaaS companies now and like other types of businesses as well. So the whole like ethos around you go with a best in class solution for a particular like field, I feel like it's changing as companies try and look for additional growth in other areas.
Yeah, for sure. I think like I think you just have to be kind of intentional about like when you're in that position. And Klaviyo is unique, right? Because they have like the revenue that they're generating, their valuation, like their size, the penetration that they've had, like they're able to really start to branch out because like they're kind of consumed most of the Shopify ecosystem. So it's like if they're going to continue to grow, and if this IPO comes to pass, they're going to like kind of be beholden to like shareholders, et cetera. It's like to deliver value back to them. It's like they need to continue to do that.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing it like a little bit more throughout the industries. People, it's like there seems to be a bit of an interest, kind of more on like the commerce cloud side of things to an extent. Not everyone. Big commerce obviously is still a very formidable presence. Focused a bit more on B2B and some more like kind of abstract use cases, but like there's a lot of opportunity in that ecosystem. But yeah, I mean, I think like the opportunities for companies and for tech partners to kind of continue to figure out like where it's going to make sense for them to kind of evolve the platform. It's going to be really interesting to see over the next couple of years, and also just like where the economy goes, and if we're going to see like acquisitions start to take place or consolidation among like kind of like tech partners, and like are there going to be more acquisitions among this space, like who's going to be next to IPO after Klaviyo potentially, like I have no clue. I couldn't even fathom a guess really. So yeah, it's going to be exciting to kind of see this entire like next phase of really like the Shopify ecosystem mature, right? And it's happening before our eyes, and it's just going to continue to happen, and kind of see where that goes.
Yeah, it was, I feel like it was like the Wild West like 5 years ago, and now it's becoming more. You look at other parallels in other verticals, but it's funny how like uh, HubSpot, for example, is essentially like an all-in-one tool. You got marketing, you got sales, you got the website, you've got service, and for the longest time, there was this talk track in the Shopify ecosystem that like that's not the way to do things. Like you just need to focus on one specific area and that's all you do. But now everybody 3 years later is just trying to become HubSpot, but for e-commerce. So the irony is not lost on me. And every once in a while I'll mention it to somebody. I'm like, remember when you told me that, this wasn't the way to do it, but now you're doing it. So it's all coming for full circle. It's definitely an evolution.
I know. It's funny, man. It's like everything old is new again. It's like it's like just like life right now. It's like I'm 32, so I'm very much in that millennial, the heart of millennialism, and like I see like teenagers these days, and like really the heart of Gen Z. It's like you guys look like kids looked when like I was in middle school. It's like it's just all these trends are just like kind of fully coming back around, and it's yeah, it's funny to just kind of see how
Yeah.
that happens and how it parallels just business, society, life, all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else before we hop here that you're like excited about that's upcoming, or things that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so a couple things. So I guess like we're hosting an event. I think this will come out when the event is gone, but I'm excited for our event that we're doing next week at Dodger Stadium. Hosting a bunch of brands in a luxury suite there, so that'll be fun. I'm just really excited about the direction of Recharge and the opportunity we have to really like help our merchants continue to grow and be successful, and like lean into you guys to help us iterate and test on that and bring these things to them. And then personally, my wife and I have last year we bought a Sprinter van, like a camper van, from our friend who built it out. So we're planning a big road trip kind of for the end of summer up around the Pacific Northwest. So excited for that, and to kind of get out and explore that part of the country, and do some biking and bring the dogs and all that good stuff. So that's something
That's awesome.
we're
That's
excited
awesome.
about.
We need to talk more about that in the future.
Yeah, we'll dive into it. Hey, we rent it too. If you ever want to come rent it and take it for a spin, you're more than welcome to.
I probably will. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Before we hop, where can people get in contact with you or find you online?
Yeah, totally. So you can find me. I'm on LinkedIn mostly. I have a Twitter, but it's mostly just like Premier League soccer related content. So you can find me on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Wyatt Shane. Or if you ever want to reach out to me directly, I am in the e-commerce partner Slack channel. Again, just my name, or you can email me, wyatt.shane@rechargeapps.com. And I would welcome any outreach.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for listening. As always, this is Brandon Amoroso. You can find me at brandonamoroso.com or electricmarketing.com, and we will see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon.
See ya.